right, so next up we're going to do some veal parmigiana. So we're going to start off with the veal. This is just grain-fed, not provini. It has a little bit more flavor, less expensive, and you know, it's just better and much less expensive. We have the veal. We've got breadcrumbs, and we've got grated Parmesan cheese and eggs. So now I'm going to get my eggs ready because the process is you're going to dip the meat into the egg mixture, just meat and eggs. I'm going to put some of the breadcrumbs and cheese in there just to make it stick to the meat. Then you're going to dip the egg covered meat into the combination of breadcrumbs and cheese and salt, pepper, and some garlic powder. Nothing fancy, it's very simple. So here we go. All right, a bowl, a plate, and a fork. That's it. So I'm going to take 2 eggs in a plate and beat them. Now, don't worry about measuring. Don't get hung up on the numbers. You can always add breadcrumbs to it and or cheese and add more seasoning if necessary. So that is about, I'm going to say 3/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs, and I'm going to use just like 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of cheese, but that's all based on preference. Okay, now I'm going to add my salt and pepper. So I like to salt breadcrumbs, the breadcrumb mixture I should say. So a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, okay, a little bit of garlic powder. You can also add some fresh parsley or fresh garlic if you like. It's up to you. It's just a matter of personal preference. So here we have the breadcrumb mixture. So now it looks more like it's about 1.5 cups of mixture. So I'm going to take some and I'm going to put it into the eggs. This will thicken up this combination. It'll thicken it up and stick to the meat a little bit better and come out a little bit more poofy. Old restaurant trick. Okay, so then I'm going to take the meat, dip it in the egg mixture, and then dip it in the breadcrumbs just to coat it. And I like to pat it down. There's one. Actually, that plate is kind of wet, so I'm going to get a clean plate to put it in. There we go. Now these are 4 nice size veal cutlets. You can do this with as many or as little as you like. There's leftovers are always welcomed, and they always taste even better than the day that they were made. So leftovers are always good. My recommendation: make a little bit more than you actually need, because they will be welcomed the next day or the next meal. There we go. Forgive the noise back there. I have my exhaust fan going because I have some sauce cooking on the stove. Now, that was just enough breadcrumbs. In the event that I had a couple more cutlets, I could have added a little bit more breadcrumbs. That would have been just fine. So I just shake it to coat the whole plate. Looked like a lot of breadcrumbs, didn't it, when you first saw it? But it's not exactly that much. If the egg wasn't, if the eggs were extra large, I would have probably used just one egg. That would have been plenty. Okay, so that is that. The next step is to fry the meat. You have to fry it in oil and then let it drain before you use it. Now, I just cover the bottom of the pot like with about 1 centimeter, less than 1 centimeter of oil, and the heat has to start out on high, because what happens if you put meat in a frying pan with the oil heat that is too low, then it starts to absorb oil. Whereas if you put it in with the high heat, it just coats the outside and it absorbs less oil. Now for this, I use only canola oil. I use canola oil or vegetable oil. Never, 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 ever, ever, never, ever olive oil, because the boiling point or the burn point is too low, and it's very heavy and will make everything very greasy. Plus the added cost, because it's very expensive olive oil. You're better off putting it in sauces or in salads where you're actually going to consume it. So this is canola oil. I'm letting it heat up. Good way to test to see if it's hot enough. Just use your wooden spoon, put it in, and see if it's bubbling. See, it's not bubbling enough yet, so it's not hot enough yet. Now I'm very hard on my pots and pans because I was in the restaurant business, and I probably don't take care of them quite as well as I should. I have to refurbish them from time to time. All right, so that it feels like it's heating up. Let's see now. Yes, you see how it's bubbling now? That's better. All right, so I'm going to put in the cutlets one at a time. There, that's how hot it should be. Oops. There we go. Then I get a clean plate, paper towel on it. Now if you're just making just veal cutlets for dinner, these are great, just fried and eaten with a little squeeze of lemon. They are absolutely fantastic. Now I'm not going to touch them. I have a bad habit of always touching them. Before the pan gets really hot enough and the oil is really hot enough to move them, or it crusts at the bottom, if you start moving them around, it'll stick to the pan rather than the meat. Can you see that? Yeah. And you don't want that to happen. So this guy here, I know that Teflon or porcelain pan, you shouldn't be using stainless steel utensils. But I'm not really touching the bottom. I'm only touching the meat. I moved it too quickly. It doesn't take long to fry these at all. Just like a couple of minutes on each side, not even. Okay. So this can also be done ahead of time. If you're using it for Parmigiana or any other kind of, or to put in a sandwich with peppers and mushrooms. Make a little thick there, I'm going to let it cook a little bit longer. I'll put these other two in as well at the same time. just like that, with a squeeze of lemon, they're fantastic. It doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to be good and nutritious. And there we go. See, that didn't take long at all. Now the beauty of the veal cutlets, this is the cut from the, a lot of it is the inside round and it's sliced, and it's really good also because it's really thin, grilled on very high heat, and then put in a sandwich with some peppers and onions and mushrooms, and you cheese. Oh man, it's so good. And these are done. I like to get them nice and crispy and red on the outside. Now I'm going to turn that off. Now I'm going to let it just cool down, let the oil cool down, and I'm going to pour it right into the recycle bin because it should not be poured down the drain. It's very hard on the septic system because we're on a septic here, so you can't do that. So there we go. There are my 4 veal cutlets, ready to be baked with sauce and mozzarella. So now it's time to put the veal parmigiana together. So I have this ceramic oven dish. You can use that, seeing that I have enough time to be able to cook it. They tend to heat up a little bit more slowly than a metal one. So if you're in a bit of a hurry, use a metal one. Okay, so I'm going to put the veal that's been fried into this pan. You can put it any way that it'll fit. This seems to be working. And it's okay if they overlap a little bit. There we go. Let's do it this way. And don't worry about using your fingers. I mean, they were invented before utensils anyway. All right. So that's that. Get this out of the way. Then I'm going to add the sauce. This is our delicious tomato sauce. Now I don't want them to be too saucy, so I didn't put, it came out a little bit chunky in the food processor. That's the way I like it for this particular one, this particular recipe. Otherwise, if you want it really, really smooth, like I said, you have to add a little bit more water and blend it a little bit longer. Okay, so there's my tomato sauce. And I'm going to add mozzarella. Now this mozzarella, actually I buy shredded mozzarella and just put it in the freezer. I live in the country, so can't always make it to the store. So at least this way it doesn't go moldy and I have it when I need it. And you know what? It works just fine. So there's the mozzarella. And I like to add some Parmesan to it as well. I mean, it is Veal Parmiggiana, is it not? So here's a little bit of Parmigiano. And then this will go in a preheated oven at 350 for about half an hour or until all the cheese melts. I start off covered, and then partway through I uncover it just to get the cheese to go a little bit brown. You don't want to have it too brown. Or you can do it the reverse. Start it out uncovered. When it goes brown to your liking, then cover it. I prefer to do it covered to begin with because it keeps the heat in and it tends to speed up the process a little bit. So just a few pointers there. Time to check the veal parmigiana. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So it's only been in the oven less than half an hour. Now I'm going to put it back so that a lot of this water will evaporate away. As you can see, it's quite liquidy. It's quite liquidy here. So a lot of this water should actually evaporate away to have a nice dense or more dense sauce. You don't want it too dense. So I'm going to put it back in the oven uncovered for maybe 5-10 more minutes. The veal parmigiana is done. Look at that. Doesn't that look yummy? So now I'm going to serve that. I'm making a side of pasta because I have some leftover tomato sauce. I want to use up. I mean, I can always leave it for another day, but it's always a great day for pasta. So, dinner is served. Today we're having veal parmigiana with a side of pasta, just a very small side of pasta, some cucumber and tomato salad, and a nice glass of wine, crusty bread, and we're done. It's going to be just delicious. So this is how you plate it. There we go. Veal. Little side of pasta. A little bit of this oh so wonderful sauce. A bit of cheese. And I happen to have a few mushrooms